Wow. Okay. All right, Lollers, welcome to the Wukong for Beginners Guide. It doesn't even matter if you're a beginner or not. Hopefully there's something in this video that's going to let you unlock some hidden potential with this amazing carry champion, start 1v5 in your games, and really take over the Rift and grab a bunch of those wins in ranked games. We know we're all looking for them, so let's figure out how to get them with this champ. Top line level here, Wukong is amazing against other attack damage, tanky, bruiser, fighter champs pretty much in general. You can flex him across the top, the mid, and the jungle roles very, very effectively. So let's cover off some of his builds and runes that you're going to look to run. I'm going to focus pretty much exclusively, at least in the gameplay and the trading and the combos, for mid burst Wukong, so a little bit more of a lethality. I'm having a lot of fun playing that right now, and you can really chunk out some of those mid lane mages that are immobile, and you can also have some great success against assassins who are very popular right now because Wukong is good against other attack damage champs. So rune wise, if you're running him mid, you're going to be running Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter. Secondary trees, not so specifically kind of focused in on the same runes every time. You can have some flexibility. I'm just running Presence of Mind for the mana sustain, and also Coup de Grace for a little bit more of that execute potential when people are lower than 40% health. Now for the build for Wukong, mid lane, you're going to be running him Assassin, so that means we're going to be rushing lethality items. So Eclipse is going to be the first item you're going to want to rush. Just going to add a bunch of gold here so we can build that out right now. So you're going to want to get Eclipse as your first item. As your second, usually pair of boots, depending on what you're laning against. If you're going to be mid lane, you probably run into people who are a little bit more mage and ability power oriented with slows and stuff. So that's never good for Wukong if you get slowed down. You want to pick up those Mercury Treads. Alternatively, if you're against something like a Yasuo or an AD champ that's going to deal sustained auto attack damage to you, you might want to pick up those plated steel caps instead. And then the third item in Wukong's core as lethality mid-assassin is going to be, in my opinion anyway, the Collector. This might change patch to patch, but right now I find that this is a third item, works really well in the games that I've been playtesting it. It just gives you more attack damage, that crit strike chance, lethality, and also a little bit of that execute potential with the death and taxes. Just makes everybody's health bar a little bit smaller, and that's really, really good as an assassin. So that's going to be your 3 core setup as lethality mid Wukong. You could also do that in the jungle if you wanted to. That's still like an assassin jungler. If, for example, let's just sell these quick and talk about the top lane Wukong. If you were playing him in a little bit more of that fighter role, top lane, you're going to be against other tanky or juggernauts who maybe stack health a little bit more. You want to pick up either the Trinity Force or the Divine Sunder, depending on who you're laning against. You can see in the shop, after we pick up our starting item, which is going to generally be that Corrupting Potion for lane, it's suggesting that I go Divine Sunder or Trinity Force. Trinity Force is better for dueling other champs who may not stack health or armor, but then Divine Sunder is better for that anti-tank who could be stacking a bunch of health and a bunch of armor. Okay, so then if you were top lane, let's say you're against a tank, it might be the Sunderer into the plated steel caps into the Black Cleaver. That would be a very basic top lane Wukong build. It gives you everything you need. Okay, so, and then runes, obviously top lane, you'd run Conquer probably right now as the best keystone for top, just again because if you're in those longer engagements where you're auto attacking using abilities, the trades last a lot longer, it's a longer lane, you're going to want that Conquer to help make sure you spit out the most damage and get some healing back when it's fully stacked, as opposed to the mid lane where really the play style is you're looking for short bursty trades and you're backing out, you're trying to chip the opponent down to a point where you can one-shot them and basically kill them in like half a second. Okay, so those are the items, those are the runes. We're going to create a practice dummy here in a second and just talk about the abilities and the combos that you might want to use with Wukong, what to max, in what order to use the abilities to trade effectively. If you want to skip ahead later on after we cover those, we're actually going to take everything we learned and bring it into a mid lane scenario against an enemy bot and just practice with some of the combos in a little bit more of a real world situation and show you guys how you can trade in lane and win those lanes. All right. Okay, so we got our practice dummy spawned here. Let's talk about Wukong's Stone Skin passive before we get into the abilities. There's a little bit to read here, but essentially all it's saying is passively Wukong gets some armor and he heals some health every 5 seconds. Okay, so that's his like lane sustain. It's also why he's better against other attack damage champions, because innately built into his kit he's already getting some armor. The really cool thing about this passive is every time Wukong or his clone, yes, he's going to be able to create some clones, hits an enemy champion or jungle monster with an attack or ability, this passive is going to stack up to 10 times. So like really you can gain a crap ton of armor in longer sustained trades, which means that again Wukong is a really good pick to counter some of these top lane fighters who are attack damage based and auto attack damage based. Okay, so that's the passive. Let's just also show you guys how you can keep track of that passive, how it's stacking. So you can see here right now above our menu bar at the bottom here, there's really nothing other than our electrocute proc showing. Every time we auto attack or spell anything like that, we're going to start to gain our passive, and you're going to see every time we auto attack it goes up 1, 6, 7, 8, right, to a maximum of 10, and that means that our armor gained right now we're at 67, right? So that's fully stacked, we're at 67. If this drops down from 10 all the way back down to 0, you can see now our armor is back down to 42. Okay, so that's why Wukong, if you didn't know why people say like, oh, Wukong's great into attack damage, that's essentially why. It's passive. Okay, now his Q, Crushing Blow, it's an auto attack enhancing ability. One of the reasons I love Wukong is because he's bursty, he's tanky, he has basically 2 dashes built into his kit, and a lot of his abilities are extremely easy to hit because they're not skill shots. So with this auto attack enhancer, all you have to do is press Q and your auto attack is going to do more damage. You can see here if we just auto attack once, it's dealing 189 with our current build. If I press Q and I auto attack, it's going to deal 269. The other really cool thing about this too is you can use it as an auto attack reset. So after you auto attack the first one, just a normal auto attack, just press Q instantly. He's going to attack really quick for the second one. Like that, you can get a nice little bunch of damage off pretty much in less than a second. And then another cool aspect of this ability is as you rank it up, even at the start, Wukong not only takes off armor, but his attack range increases. So to attack this dummy right now, I have to get this close, right? You can see where I'm standing. When I press Q, I can attack a little bit farther, and as you level this up, you're going to see you can attack from farther and farther and farther. It eventually gets really, really ridiculous. You can attack from like this far away as a melee champ when you press Q. You'll catch people off guard. They'll be like, how the hell did you auto attack me? And it's because of your Q. Okay. It also reduces armor, so that's another reason why Wukong's great into tanks. Now, as you level up, I would suggest that you start with the Q in lane and you work your way to maxing this in terms of your basic abilities. Some people like to start E in lane, and you could even start W if you want to be really tricky. I just find in the first few levels as Wukong, you want to farm and do it safely until you get your first full 3 basic abilities. That's when you kind of unlock as a champion. So I just get the Q and play safe and farm it out early. Now, let's talk about the E here. This is a short dash in Wukong's kit. It's going to deal a little bit of magic damage, pretty much negligible. Like it's not going to matter after the first few levels in terms of damage. But what it does give you is a little bit of a boost to your auto attack speed. So after you come out of the dash and you hit someone, you're going to get 1 free auto. Like even if you don't right click anyone, if you just E them, you're going to get that 1 free auto attack. You can see there. It's going to keep going if you have the targeting on, but just E and not clicking anything will give you 1 free auto like that. And then it gives you increased attack speed. So that means that if you initiate a trade with E, you jump onto someone, your autos are going to go a little bit faster, which is going to help you trade a little bit easier and maybe proc that electrocute off faster. Okay, the basic combo between these 2 abilities is you're going to E in, let that auto attack go through, and then press Q to cancel that auto attack animation really, really fast, and basically proc your electrocute off of your level 2 ability spike. So level 2, if you're into certain matchups, very, very powerful spike for Wukong. You E in auto Q, deal a really good amount of damage. Okay, now learning our level 3, our W, Warrior Trickster here, he's going to dash and become invisible for 1 second. So again, this is why I think Wukong is very, very powerful. The fact that you have 2 dashes in lane to cover distance and engage means that if you're good at recognizing chances, you can capitalize on them. And I think those are best types of champs for low elo games to climb out of those types of elos very, very quick, is to take advantage of the enemy's misposition. Okay, and you add on to that that burst and a little bit of tankiness, it's a perfect recipe to like really take over games. So you can use the W if we were mid lane against a mage who's playing really far back, like a Zeroth or a Brand. We could W and then E into them, right? Because we get a little bit of short dash. Or you could use it simply into melee champions to disengage. So this is really powerful trading mechanic of Wukong. You E in, auto Q, and then just W disengage. Okay? Like the dash you get and the invisibly means they won't be able to target you. And probably they're going to not be able to trade back. So if you just do that a few times, you're going to chunk them out and bring them to kill range, and it's not going to be fun lane for them. Let's max up to our level 6 now. Oh, actually, before we leave the W, I just want to make sure, because I messed this up in a few of the games where I first picked up Wukong. The W is not a dash that goes over walls. You will not be able to dash even over short walls with it. It's only an open terrain dash. So that means that you only get that dash distance when there's nothing blocking your path. Okay, so just be careful with that. Make sure you don't accidentally think that you can dash over a wall trying to escape someone, and then you get caught with your pants down and they kill you. Okay, it's going to look really, really silly. Wow, this guy's really following me here. Okay, so leveling up to level 6, let's talk about Wukong's ultimate. Also, again, quick note, you're going to be maxing out that Q. That's going to be your basic ability that you're going to max out, and then your E, you're going to just leave 1 point in W pretty much for the whole game. So, spawning that dummy again, let's talk about our R. He spins the staff around him, knocks people up, and deals damage. Again, it's pretty easy to hit this ability because of this huge circle around Wukong that he's going to spin his staff. It has damage, and it also knocks people up. Okay, like displacing CC, whatever you want to call it, it's amazing for team fights because there's no limit to how many people you can knock up. So if I press R, you can see I spin around, I knock them up and stun them basically. You can even recast it a second time, guys, like in the just the one ability. I know I have cooldowns refreshed here, but even if the cooldown was not on auto cooldown, you can cast the R a second time, so you can knock people up. You could keep fighting, auto, Q, E, and then you could knock them up a second time. So the amount of team fighting prowess you have as Wukong is crazy, especially when you mix that with your warrior trickster. This is going to sound super broken, but your clone, the spin, the knock up, it all gets mimicked by your clone. So let me just show you what I mean by that. If I spawn another practice dummy here, right, and let me spawn another practice dummy. So let's say I started a trade here, I E, auto Q, and then I R, right? I can clone all the way up to here, and then R again, and the clone's gonna spin and knock those people up. I can literally knock up almost an entire part of a river fight. So all 5 champs, if they were all here, I could knock them all up, displace them, deal damage to them all, and let my team really jump onto that fight. So Wukong is amazing team fighting because of that. He can wombo combo with a lot of champs. Just think if you had a Yasuo on your team and you knocked up like 3 champs, right? Like Yasuo could come and ult them all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. So yeah, he's really a champ that's got it all. Very easy kit to play because it's pretty much no skill shots. He's bursty, he's tanky, he's got 2 dashes, he's got armor reduction. Crazy champ in my opinion, so if you haven't tried him, give him a go. If you're like a Wukong expert, like I said, drop in some comments below, let some of the community members know what they can be looking to do as they get better with Wukong. But for now, we're going to jump into a lane situation and try some of these trades out on an enemy bot. Alright, so loading into this practice game, we're going to talk about some of the trades that we're going to look for early and maybe how you want to approach the enemy lane phase. Most of your mid lane matchups, again, you're going to be running lethality, assassin, Wukong. You're going to be rushing those lethality items. You're going to be playing with the electrocute, flash ignite for some really amazing kill pressure. Generally, early into these matchups, I want to think of myself as a champion level 1. Basically non-existent. Okay, I'm just letting them push the wave into me. Generally speaking, again, this is not true in every case, but generally playing it safe as Wukong, waiting for at least your level 2 spike or even your level 3 spike to really try and trade aggressively and take off a good chunk of their health so that you don't lose too much damage early on. The worst thing you can do as an assassin, with any assassin mid lane, is get chunked out before you even get to level 3, and you can't even go in for trades at that point. Okay, so what that means for me is I'm going to start with level Q, and I'm also starting with with Corrupting Potion to get some mana and health sustain. So Zilean, this is not unlike most mid lane champs you're going to face, where they have a ranged auto and they also have ranged AP abilities. Not to worry, we're just going to let them play very easy. We're going to try and farm when we can without taking too much damage, okay? So you can use your Q to help you last hit, even from a little bit of range. You can trade some of your health for some minions, but I wouldn't trade too much of it, okay? You're just going to have to try and get as close as you can for the XP range to get your levels still, and then also just try and last hit where it makes sense. Do not trade half your health for one minion, okay? Most champs you can see even here are going to spike level 2 before you, potentially even zone you off. That's fine. That's playing into the fact that this is going to get closer to your turret where you can farm more safely, maybe receive a gank, or when you turn level 3, basically have a better chance to kill them. Okay, so you can use your Q under turret to help you secure some of those last hits. We can also use our E, which will max out second, to grab some if we need to. Generally though, again, you're going to lose out on some minions early. It's not a big deal. Level 3 is what we're waiting for. This is where we're going to look for our first trade and either use the W to help us engage with that first little dash, or to disengage after we close a distance with E. Okay, so we're going to wait for our Q to come off cooldown. The basic trade is going to look like to walk towards him and basically E onto him, auto, and Q. So we're walking towards him, E, auto, Q, and walk away. That's going to proc electrocute, and you can see we almost basically half health them with one combo. So be patient in your games when you're playing Wukong, okay? You can't have everything given to you. You're going to have to wait till at least level 3 before you can start chunking people out. And then if you do that combo over and over and over again, it's going to eventually get them to a kill range. So we're going to max out that Q again. We're going to E, auto, Q, chunk them out again. And you're just going to keep doing that combo over and over. It's very one-dimensional with Wukong. The tricky part comes in with how you want to use your W. So we could use the W to close distance. You can see like this. And even if we ignite him here, you'll get kills very quickly, very easily with Wukong mid lane. It's just knowing when's the right time to use your W, knowing to stay patient in the first 3 levels and not get chunked. If you can do that, like I promise you guys, you're going to see a lot of kills and you're going to snowball with Wukong. Very snowbally champ. And once you get ahead, because you're basically not using any skill shots, the enemy lane is going to be in for a very rough time. You're just going to be able to keep E auto queuing them and chunking them for half their health, and then using your W to disengage or even engage at crazy distances. You have to remember the fact that you have 2 dashes means that essentially no one's safe if they want to even step up to grab XP from the minions dying or even try and last hit them. The worst case from before level 6 for Wukong, especially if you're not fed, is to be stuck around here where the minions are on their side of the lane. So let them push, E them, auto, Q, W to follow it if you want, like we're doing here, or you can use the W to disengage. There, because we're ahead, I'm just going to use the W to re-engage and keep the trade going. Okay? So let's just clear this out a little bit here. We've used both our sums. We kind of have a little bit less than half health, so this could be a good time to recall. Generally in your lanes, you want to recall in situations where they can't freeze the wave. If you don't know what that means, that's fine. Just generally you want to recall in a situation where you have enough gold and the waves is not pushing into your turret or stuck like just in front of theirs. Okay, so we'll just like recall here, for example, just to make sure we go back and spend our gold. As an assassin and someone who wants to burst and snowball, you need to get those items to keep your lead going. Okay, so don't miss opportunities to go back and buy some items. So again, because we're playing lethality, we're going to click on the assassin here, and we're going to build into this mythic item first, the Eclipse. I would always recommend at least waiting for 1100 gold to go back and get your Serrated Dirk. If you don't have enough gold, try and make sure you stay in lane so that your first back you can come back with the Serrated Dirk. That's a great way to keep the momentum going in games. If you get an early kill, you'll always have enough gold. Basically go back and get that Serrated Dirk and keep it going. When you get this Dirk, especially if you get it early, you are a monster in lane. This is probably your second true power spike as Wukong. Your first one comes when you have your E and your Q, maybe your EQ and your W to basically get some free trades off. The next major one comes from Serrated Dirk, okay? And it probably sounds like, wow, you have 2 power spikes before you can get to level 6. That is true. That's why Wukong is broken in my opinion, okay? There's so many power spikes for this guy. So again, we're going to E in, auto Q, You can see that took half his health down. This is when Wukong gets disgusting, when you basically use your basic combo and you can half health them. You're going to see here in 2 seconds we can probably kill this guy. We're going to E, auto Q, we can even W to close the distance here and get that kill. Okay? So without even using the ult yet, you can see how these lanes will start to snowball out of control with Wukong. You can use your E to clear minions out faster and get these pushes so you can crash waves into their tower and maybe see if you can get some of these plates. Your Q does work on towers, so make sure you use those Q on towers to damage them even more and get those plates faster. You could also use E on a minion and then get the auto attack speed off of E in a minion to basically beat the tower down faster as well. Okay, and again, you are running corrupting pots in most of your mid lane matchups, so that means that you'll have some sustain on both your mana and your health to be able to sustain this back up. Now, how do we tie our ultimate into this engage? Because you're going to be probably ahead in most of your games, and even if you're not, because you're going to be running lethality into more squishy champs, you want to use that R to knock them up and let you keep dealing damage. So we're just going to tie it into the end of our basic combo, which is going to be E, auto Q, and then we're going to follow it up with an R. Okay? So we're just going to wait here for him to use that bomb. Right, E, auto, and then R, knock them up, use the clone, dodge out some of their abilities, Q them again, and then knock them up again. That'll be enough to kill pretty much anybody in the mid lane. You're just looking to use that W as a kind of like a chance to dodge and outplay them. Okay, that's really where the skill expression comes from with Wukong. It's all about his W, but that's good because that means that it's simple to play, simple to carry, and get a feel for, and start to own the enemy champions. Okay, so again here, you never want to leave if you can help it with the lane in a state where it's closer to their tower like this. You just want to try and push it all the way in if you can help it. So just get that jammed in, and then you can go back and buy. Now, we haven't talked about ganking other lanes, but essentially if you're ahead as a Wukong, that means that like you have a couple kills, you have some items. You can see here, like we've got some boots, we've got the serrated dirk, we've got a couple long swords, our vampire scepter. Like we're pretty far ahead. You can start to roam into the top side or bot side jungles, rivers, etc. Probably can't do this earlier because like early on, levels 1 to 2, you're going to get pushed in, you're going to miss a lot of farm and XP if you go roam, so I wouldn't recommend it. I'd more count on trying to have your jungler gank for you because they're going to be up to here and you have 2 dashes. It's probably better for you just to stay in lane early, but post level 6 if you're ahead, you're looking for those big roams, okay? So here we're going to E auto Q, use the W to maybe dash out the second bomb, and then just keep auto attacking him down. Okay, he used the ult there, so that's a good ult by him. That's fine. But here, for example, let's say we wanted to roam top, right? There's some champs top that we want to beat down. Let's make sure we push our wave first, okay? So you can see here, I don't need to use the E quite yet because I was in range to use the Q, so you could always open up combos with Q if people walk into you. Don't always use the E just off the start every single time. But before you roam anywhere with Wukong, and I would recommend this in most of your games, it's always good to see if you can push the waves into the tower and either take some plates first, or if you want to, once you push it into the tower, then go roam. So let's go roam to the bot lane here. Looks like our Tristana needs some help. When you're looking to gank with Wukong, again, because you have 2 dashes, just try and play the dash correctly and go on the right target. You might have them flash away from your heal, it might not secure the kill, but as long as you have good intention to try and dash to the right target, that's cool. If you show up and you do not need to dash, again, don't lead with the E, just lead with the auto attacks. You want to E to close distance, so if you don't need to close distance off the start, don't do it, okay? So there we use the E just to catch up to him while he's trying to run away, and then we close out the kill like that. Alright, that's a big tip for you if you're playing Wukong. Again, that's pretty much the only way you could really misplay him is if you E kind of early. Don't E if you don't have to use it for its gap closer. It's really not doing that much damage. It deals magic damage and you're going to be building attack damage. So you're really not gaining any stats on the damage from it. It's really going to be that gap closure. So here, I don't even need to E him. See, he's giving me auto attacks. I don't need to E yet. Okay, if I want a W to outplay him, I can do that still, but I want to save that E to dash right at the last second to catch him if I'm already in auto attack in Q range. Alright? If they're playing super safe and they're not letting you auto attack and Q them and they're a mage, then that's where you're looking to use your E to close distance and engage on them and create some of those trades. Alright, so guys, that's basically it for Wukong here. Try him out in your games. Again, he can be flexed mid, top, jungle, a bunch of different build paths. Even if you're just looking to have some fun, you can build other varieties on him. You can build him more tanky, more crit based, more attack based, you know, all kinds of different stuff to try out. So let me know how it goes in your games. I hope you enjoyed the guide, and best of luck.